Welcome, welcome. All I gotta say is, are you ready? Are you ready? We have opening day on Thursday. We got a Scherzer special, Scherzer versus Sandy Alcantara, only 1 day away to a potential magical season. And I feel a lot of great things are going to happen this season. It's going to be one of the best seasons ever. And we're going to be covering it. All right. I'm very excited for the season. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, as always, if you could like this video and subscribe, it helps the channel immensely. Today, we're going to be looking at the opening day roster, and we're going to just be going through it. We're going to see what's good, what's bad, what we think we can make improvements on, and we're just going to get excited for opening day. So, thank you for tuning in, and let's get this video started. All right. I'm actually very excited for this Thursday. We have a great matchup. We have Max Scherzer going up against Sandy Alcantara. So right away, we're going to have a huge test. This roster is going to have a major test. All right. And I'm okay with the roster. I mean, I'm not 100% happy, but we're going to go over that momentarily. But okay, so first we're going to go over first we're going to go over catcher. The two catchers that made the team are Omar Narvaez and Tomas Nido. So with the addition of Narvaez, that gives Francisco Average some obvious time to go down to AAA to develop, take his time. And I saw him in spring training. I don't think that's such a bad idea. I think that if he gets hot down there, something happens, we have an injury, there'll be a perfect opportunity to call him up. But starting him down in the minor league, I'm not opposed to that. And Tomas Nido, he seems to have a great relationship with the pitchers. That's great. Omar Narvaez, I'm gonna expect some big things from him. You know, he didn't have that great of a year last year, but he's a lefty and he's had some productive years in the past. So why not? I think he's in a perfect situation to succeed. So the catching position is not going to be our strongest, but it's not bad either. Okay, switching over to first base, we have Pete Alonso. Big Pete, what could you say? He's an emerging leader on the team. He's a consistent 40 home run guy. He seems to be a perennial all-star. He's gonna anchor the team. He's going to be in the middle of the lineup. I think that our first base position is solid. We're gonna have Vogelback as our depth. There's also a couple guys who can play first base. We also have Mark Canha. He plays in the outfield, obviously, but he can also back up at first. So the first base does seem to be pretty well fit. Okay, moving over to second base, we have the reigning batting champion, Jeff McNeil. So Jeff, he's going to cover second base most of the year. He's going to get the bulk of the work there. Luis Guillorme, of course, he'll back up Jeff on days off. During the season, we never know what happens. If Jeff needs to go play the outfield, we know that Jeff has that skill as well. He's a big bat-to-ball guy. So I like how second base, I like how it looked going into the season. And we have, obviously, Luis Guillorme as our depth. Going over to shortstop, as always, we have Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor, year over year, has been getting better and better. I think as he gets more comfortable in New York and as he adapts to his leadership position in the city, he's going to get more comfortable, and that's going to lead to a better performance on the field. So I'm very comfortable and confident at our shortstop position. Francisco Lindor has always been a high WAR guy, so that means that he has a big contribution towards winning. So I do like Francisco Lindor, and backing him up, we have Luis Guillorme. And also in the minor leagues, we have a couple shortstops down there like Ronnie Mauricio. So God forbid if anything were to happen, we can always bring up a guy like Ronnie. And you know, Ronnie Mauricio has been a personal favorite of mine. So even though there's other players who can play shortstop, I always jump to Ronnie because I think the guy's got a ton of talent down there. And he's a guy who I expect to see somewhere down at the end of the year. Most likely next season, but you never know with him. Okay, going over to third base, and this is what I don't like. We have Eduardo Escobar. He won the position at third, and I honestly hate it. yesterday. I was listening to WFAN, and I was hearing how Volpe won the shortstop position on the Yankees, and everybody was praising the Yankees for going with the young guy and not looking toward anything else, but just taking a chance and putting Volpe at shortstop. And I was so disappointed because I'm like, Brett Beatty had an awesome spring training, and I think Brett Beatty's ready. He's 23 years old. He's not 19. He's not 20. He's 6'3". It's not like he's got to develop into his frame. He's a guy who's going to get better. If you're worried about his defense, he's going to grow into the position. And it's not like you have a gold glove third baseman there right now. Eduardo Escobar, he's not a gold glove defender. He had a great September, but that's all he had last year. He's a switch hitting third baseman, and he's a nice player, but I see him as more of a backup. Brett Beatty is a future blooming star. So I wanted to go with him in the beginning of the season and also reward the young guy for having a good spring training. Why send him down to the minor league? To me, that makes no sense. To me, that was the most disappointing move of the offseason right now, especially putting this roster together. Okay, those are my 2 cents. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Also, again, drop a like. All right, going over to the outfielders, we have Mark Canha, Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Tommy Pham, and Tim LeCastro. Tim LeCastro is the speedster who actually took up the last position on the roster. All right, so he took that away from Brett Beatty, but all right, it is what it is. So the other guys, obviously the starting outfield is going to be Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo, and Mark Canha. He's going to be in left field. So that's not a bad starting outfield, but it could get better. I think that the team offensively isn't where I want it to be. Brett Beatty could be that extra piece. That's another reason why I was upset he was sent down. But Canha, I know what he is. Brandon Nimmo, I expect him to keep getting better. And Starling Marte, you really kind of don't know because he's an older guy. Last year, you saw what type of valuable presence he was in the lineup. But then again, he is getting older, so you have to take that into mind. Tommy Pham is a guy who's just a backup at this point of his career, so I'm not going to really expect much. He's going to be in a limited role, probably get somewhere around 350 at-bats, 400. Hopefully he doesn't get more than that because then there had to be some type of injury. So Tommy Pham, for the role he's in, he's just fine. So the outfielders, they're okay, probably an above average outfield. Not that much power out there, but these days, as long as you make contact and keep the bat going, hand the bat to the next guy, that's all I can ask for. All right, so we'll go over to the designated hitter, and that's not even a race. It's just Daniel Vogelbach. And you know what? I always wanted to have a better hitter than Daniel Vogelbach. I guess he's a good hitter. Last year, he had a pretty high OPS. He's got a great eye at the plate. He's very disciplined, and he's got pop. But I always hoped that when the Mets were to get their DH, that they would just get this big bad slugger. And Vogelbach has potential, but I see that as a position that can get upgraded. So right now, looking at the offensive position, the 2 positions that I think, well, actually 3 positions that I want an upgrade on right now, ASAP. I know the Mets have a high payroll, and I want an upgrade. I know I sound like a Yankee fan of old, but I want an upgrade at DH. I want an upgrade at third base, and I want an upgrade in left field right now. Okay, all right, but as soon as possible, I'd like an upgrade because this is a team that's bidding for a World Series. So you want to make sure that you have as best pieces as possible as in place. And you know what, Mauricio, going back to Mauricio, you're gonna learn that I love Mauricio. He's a guy who could play outfield, or a guy who could learn how to play outfield. All right, going to the starting pitchers, and this is where the strength of our team lies right now currently. We have Max Scherzer. He's going to be our starter on Thursday. Then we have Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, and Kodai Senga is looking good. I mean, he struck out 9 hitters in 5 innings. That's very, very impressive. Then we have Carlos Carrasco and David Peterson. Congratulations to David Peterson coming in at the number 5 starter. The guy definitely deserves it. He's been I believe he's been a long tenured Met right now, 3 or 4 years, and the guy did really good last year. It's mid-3 earned run average. Every time there was a spot start, he was always very solid. His K per 9 inning was around 10, so he did strike out a lot of guys. And I always thought he was a guy who was improving. And I'm so glad he's a homegrown Met. So I'm actually really glad that we're giving him an opportunity to be in the starting rotation. Tyler McGill did not get that bid, but Tyler's also another guy with a lot of potential. So anything were to happen to any one of those guys, the great thing is we have Tyler McGill right there. And I know he's going to be, he's got all the promise in the world, all the talent, and all the tools. Okay, so that rotation is our strength. We had Jose Quintana go down, and we were able to still put together a pretty nice, solid 5-man rotation. So we have to be pretty happy about that. When Jose Quintana comes back, that's only going to give us more depth. Also, just a note, we did sign Dylan Bundy. If anybody's wondering why he's not mentioning, why I didn't mention him, he was signed to a minor league contract, so he's going to start off the season in the minor leagues. And that was somebody I did speak to about in the past, a potential guy that the Mets could sign just to add extra depth. So I think that's a good move. Okay, now probably another one of those areas of need, we're going to go into our relief pitchers. As it stands right now, without Edwin Diaz, we have Adam Ottavino, David Robinson, Brooks Raley, Drew Smith, Steven Nagosek, John Curtis, and he's like the guy who everybody's kind of like raving about, kind of like as a breakout guy, Tommy Hunter and Dennis Santana. So for a championship World Series team, I have to be honest, I'm not impressed. And I know it's obvious because we did lose Edwin Diaz. So of course it was going to be a big downtick, but I expect the New York Mets to replace him somehow. Whether it's one of the guys that they have in the minor leagues right now, as they develop, they eventually promote one of these guys. There's got to be something right now that the Mets have to put together because this is not a World Series bullpen. I'm sorry, it's not. I want to say it is, but I want to be realistic. It's not a World Series bullpen the way it stands today. We have a bunch of old guys at the end of the pen, and it cannot be on their shoulders. There's a lot of games in the playoffs, and you can't have these guys taking all the burden going into the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be feasible. And the worst thing in the world is once you get to the World Series or deep in the playoffs for these guys to start blowing games because it's an apparent hole right now that everybody can see. So right now, Steve Cohen, Billy Epler, just fix it. All right. Well, if you got into the end of the video, I just want to thank you so much, and I want you to just get excited because this year is going to be special. I expect big things from the Mets, huge things from the Mets, all right? This is going to be a great season, and don't ever get down because we have new ownership who their goal is to win as well. So we're never going to get ourselves into a situation where we can get down because we know that just around the corner there's another move, there's another player to be added, there's something that's going to be changed because the goal of ownership right now is to win. We won 101 games last year and we intend to win the World Series this year. Thank you so much and let's go Mets. Remember, please like and subscribe. I'm counting on you. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.